Hey guys, greetings and salutations from sunny Philadelphia. Just want to say hello and do a quick update. I was just out here and we did some super cropping the other day, and I wanted to show you the results of the super cropping. And I just got done doing a pretty proper defoliation on this sucker. It's August 4th today, so we're getting into that time period where it's probably going to start going to flowers soon. So as you can see, I got this sucker pretty cleaned out on the bottom, and basically I just cleaned it out 2/3 because you have to think this sucker still has some stretch left in it before it goes into flower, and it's going to get another foot or two at least. It's going to get another foot or two of potential bud sites. So you don't need that bottom 2/3. You need it cleaned out really good. There's a little piece right there that I missed. See it? Just yank it right off. And you want to get everything you can, because when this thing flips to flower, you really want it to start putting all of its energy into this. And just for reference, I planted this in the ground, I want to say June 15th. So it's been in here for about 45 days, and I've been taking care of it. You can see I super cropped it. You can see the 90-degree bends I put in it. Here's another super cropped stem, and you can see they turned out really good. Everything's healthy. They just formed a nice knuckle, and now as you can see, everything's healthy. That whole, here, let me see if I can, there we go. As you can see here, this is the one I'm shaking right here. It's still getting nutrients, it's still getting water, so don't be afraid to super crop. And here, I'm going to give you an example. I'm just going to do one here. Let me find one real quick, and we'll do a quick super crop. So this one right here, basically what I'm going to do is I'm pinching. And what that does, you're going to feel it. You're going to pinch it all the way around. And what that's doing, that's breaking up the fibrous material inside that vascular system. And once you do it all the way around, once you pinch it, and you can actually hear it and feel it crushing under your hands, you just want to bend it at a 90-degree angle, like that. And boom. Now that's going to get a knuckle on it. That's going to get a knuckle right there. And once it gets that knuckle, it's going to be even harder than it was before. It doesn't take away any of the structural integrity of the plant or anything. It's just there for you to save space, because, for example, if you're in a 4-foot tent, your tent is 4 foot high, and your plant is 3 feet already, and it hasn't stretched, and it's, a sativa, you're probably going to end up with a 6-foot tall plant, at least, depending on how you keep your lights and everything. Yeah, it could be a 6-foot tall plant at least. So you really have to be careful and make sure that you know that you have to super crop before it stretches. And you can measure down from the tip of your plant right there and measure down however many feet, whether it be 1 or 2 feet, and you can super crop it. And however much you decide, wherever you decide to bend that stem when you super crop it, that's how much room you're gaining. So it's very important technique, especially if you're in a confined space, or you want to make it to where you're keeping a more of a low profile. That's super important for sure. Right now I'm just taking off a couple little leaves here. As you can see, they're super healthy. Strain is sour apple butter. And this is a super dark variety. The other pheno that I had of the sour apple butter was super light. This is the dark one. And nothing but good things to say about this one. Very uplifting. Stays with you a long time. Beautiful, wonderful smell. I'm trying to think of how it smelled. Kind of like candy and citrus, I would say, but I am going to be doing a video once I I'm going to do a video once this is all said and done, and then we can kind of go over the flavor profile and the terpene profile and, take it from there. But as you can see, like right here, you got 2 leaves crossing. I already have 2 little baby fan leaves right here growing, so I'm going to take this one off right here. A lot of people will just tuck leaves, under or over. I like to just take them off. I've had no issues with defoliation at all, so it's just something that I stick with. I have no issues with taking off a good amount of leaf matter, especially when it's early and you haven't went into flower yet, because that's where I'm at right now. I'm not even in flower. So with that being said, I'm just kind of preparing everything, because obviously, you don't want to stress this thing out to the point where, it harms on you. You can get a hermaphrodite, it starts going male. You don't want to do that. So you try to do little bits at a time. There's my girl. Mama. Mama. She hates the camera. It's so funny. She's a good looking dog though, but she hates the camera. Nice little American bully. She's a mix with she's got Staffordshire Terrier in her and a little bit of Frenchie and Pit Bull. But her DNA comes back American Bully, but you can see all these things in her, even though the DNA test didn't say that. The DNA test just said 100% American Bully, but you can tell what she has. She definitely has Staffy in her. Oh, she's crazy. She's a crazy girl, right, girl? Yeah. She likes keeping me company while I'm out here pinching, which is cool. But yeah, I'm just trying to get the leaves that are crossing over each other, really. Like right there, that's a mess. If you look at that, that's just a hot mess of leaves. Like I can move my finger around and it's all just tangled. And part of it's because I super cropped right here and it hasn't really bounced back. I mean, it's still healthy, as you can see. But in order to help this super crop out, because you can see it's really bent, I'm going to take a little bit of leaf off, and hopefully that'll relieve a little bit of the stress of the weight, the sheer weight that is stressing it out a little bit. But, I'm taking off anything that's either in the shade, anything that's crossing over another one, you try to take care of the best you can. If you don't think it's going to get enough sun to produce a good amount of bud, just take it off. You're better off. You're better off with... I'd rather have less bud that got great sun and great nutrients than have a shit ton of bud, but when I go to harvest it, half of it's done and the other half is immature or a weird shade of green, or doesn't smell right because it just didn't get the amount of light that it needed to thrive. That's the way I look at it. And we're still taking off here. Here we go. And as you can see, it's starting to look a little better now. And I'm still wondering if I'm going to keep this one or not. This little baby immature right there. Here, let's take this one off too. There we go. And as you can see, she's going to perk right back up. As you can see, we got a good amount defoliated here. And, usually I would leave... I don't really like leaving stuff like real piled up against it, because I'm afraid that it's going to attract like all kinds of insects in the leaf litter. So I'll take some of this out. But now if you had a really bushy plant like I did with like tons of leaves and it was real shady under there, just keep in mind you cleared out the canopy now. So you're not going to have the same shade that you had before, and you're going to want to just make sure, keep an eye on your plant. If it starts going droopy, you got to water. Because before, you had the situation where you had all this shade and that was making it to where you probably didn't have to water as much. Also, on the flip side of that, just remember, if you do a heavy defoliation, your plant might not drink as much for the next few days to a week. It's just because it does stress the plant out a little bit. It's not like a super stressing thing that's going to like kill the plant, but it does stress it out a little bit to where it might not take up as much water. So anyway, that's about all I got, guys, but this was very simple here. I just gave them some mycorrhizae when I planted it in the ground. I prepared a pretty big hole. I'd say it was probably as big around as like three 5-gallon buckets. If you put them like in a triangle, it was like that big around. I put some peat in there. I put mostly compost. I put a little bit of Fox Farm soil, and I threw some dry amendments in there. But now we're to the point where pretty soon we're going into flower. I do have an issue with the street light right there. I did write to the LED street lighting at phila.gov, and they said that they were going to put a shield on it for me. But that's broken. I didn't know that was broken. Well, there goes that one. Look at that. I probably could save it, but it's okay. It's fine. All right, now we just open that up even more. So this one doesn't look like it's going to make it here. I'm going to try to prop. There we go. See how I just propped it up a little bit with that other stem? Actually, if I really want to do it, I'm going to put this stem, this on my thumb, in this Y branch right here. And boom, look at that. Now we got that at almost a perfect 90, and it will heal like that. It'll heal just like that with a nice thick knuckle in a couple of days. But yeah, that's about here. And I'm going to take another big leaf off of this sucker just to try to alleviate some of that extra weight on there. But anyway, this video has been way too long. I know that, folks. But I just wanted to make one and just kind of shoot the shit with you guys. And I hope that some of you got an outdoor project going this year or some indoor stuff. Right now, my indoor stuff is sour diesel, the AJ Philly cut, which actually came in 7th place. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. It's a real crazy name, but he's real into like living soil and stuff. He just put out a real good sour diesel video about 6 days ago. And he bought 30 cuts that were some form of sour diesel or sour diesel cross. And right off the bat, 15 of them he ended up tossing right away. He ended up tossing everything except for his top 3, I want to say. And his top 3, I know Wing Wang. I know the sour diesel Wing Wang cut was I believe number 1, and there was a couple of other ones, but very cool video. If you look up sour diesel, it'll pop up. And then also Gabby and Not So Dog did a sour diesel showcase. If you look up sour diesel showcase, where they ranked everything based on eye appeal, the cure, the smell, the terps, how close to a sour diesel it was, everything like that. And then if they found mold, then they rated it like that. They rated it, they weren't being shy about, they were being very thorough and using the microscope to look at all the buds. And I thought that was pretty cool. But if you're into the sour diesel stuff, it's a very cool video as well. But yeah, so right now I'm doing the sour diesel AJ Philly cut, which came in 7th, which is respectable. Then I got the GMO from Skunk Master Flex, which is just oniony. It's kind of oniony. It's like a BO, like almost like a DK. And if you rub anything against it, it becomes instantly sticky. And it's weird because not only is it sticky, but the terps are also sandy. Because when I rub up against it, I can actually see the fucking terps on my arm. They look like almost like sand. if you look at them really closely. So it's really interesting. And then the third one I got going is the UK cheese, and that stuff is just absolutely gorgeous, man. Right now it's definitely smelling cheesy. I smell a little bit of hint of candy in there, and this UK cheese is of skunk number one lineage. So real beautiful, bushy. It barely stretched 30% of its total height. It's got some pretty fragile stems on it. They don't really thicken up on the top, but they seem to be holding on good. I got it, of course I got the screen of green on them, and I got 2 scrog nets on them, so that's helping as well. But so far I'm very impressed with the GMO in the UK. The sour diesel's, it's a 10 or 11 week plant. So it's running a little behind, so I really can't judge it yet because it's not going to be in the same spot as the other 2. But, as soon as I start smelling a little something on there when I rub the stem, I'll let you know. Right now it's just a little bit of citrus, but not much at all. But man, that GMO and UK, man, they're so different from each other and just so cool. But anyway, have a good summer as always, and hopefully you'll be able to get away or at least go to the park once a week. Get outdoors and really become one with nature a little bit. If you have a dog, take your dog swimming in the creek. These are all things that they may not seem like a big deal, but they really help to relieve stress and keep you going. Greetings. Talk to you guys later.